I think we're in for a really interesting, competitive one here.
I will start you like this. Attention. Go. Get ready, please.
So umpire Richard Phelps calls the crews over, sit ready, oars in the water, making sure they're dead straight. Quick glance over the shoulder by Paula Harvey, the bow seat of Tideway Scullers School. They're ready to go.
Go!
Those blades locked up pretty firmly in the Scullers crew as they just jumped on it to try and get away from the start. And we can see they'll be lining up those steering markers that I spoke about, and both crews taking a really nice line off the start, and both crews more or less stroke for stroke, neck and neck here.
As they scull into the evening sun, it's nothing to call between these two crews. Clear start, clean start, and there are the faces of Marlow Rowing Club. That's Claudia Kerry Roger sitting in the stroke seat, 17 years old. Behind her, determination on the face of Amy Furlonger. At 2, Katie Breeze, and at bow, Annabelle Rayner. And that's Marlow Rowing Club. And they are absolutely neck and neck, but they're being warned already by umpire Phelps, just making a quick steering correction. That will be Annabelle Rayner, probably taking the lead in steering the crew away. Looks like they've recovered quite well.
Yeah, the water looks so flat now and calm, and what a lovely race we're in for here. We hope this one was going to be close, as we see it now, looking at these athletes from Tideway Scullers. Alex McCarthy in the stroke sheet. She's going to the GB formation camp after this, but now it's all about this quad. It's all about Henley Royal Regatta, setting a nice rhythm, a nice pace, and moving well, staying with Marlow right now.
And as with so many of these Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cups, the junior women's quads events is really, really close, isn't it? Very well matched crews. We see some really good sculling from young women in this event. It's really set a standard and raised the standard of women's sculling throughout the UK. So excellent to see this. At the moment, I'd say Marlow have a slight edge. It's always slightly dangerous to call it from this angle, but I think Marlow have got maybe half a metre or so on Tideway Scullers.
Yeah, great to see these two clubs as we're looking in here at Marlow, based on the stretch in Marlow, right by Marlow Bridge. As we take a look here at the face of Claudia Kerry Roger in the stroke seat. Interesting story about her. She only started rowing during lockdown, and she did that with a Concept 2 rowing machine, which she trained on 7 days a week, teaching herself to row, doing 5Ks and 2K tests for fun. She's using that physicality now, sitting in the stroke seat.
What an athlete there, 3-time national champion in 3 different sports as well, netball, athletics and rowing. And it's great to see athletes who can compete in multiple sports choosing our sport here of rowing, and one of the reasons is the chance to race in a place like this. So Marlow on the right of our picture. Now we look at the distinctive mustard and tomato ketchup sculls of the Tideway Scullers School as we get into the middle section of the race, and this is where efficiency and rhythm counts. It's too long a race to sprint all the way. You've got to sort of change into a powerful but sustainable mid-race pace, and that's what you need experience for, and it's challenging when you haven't done too much racing, being 17 or 18 years old. But well, it looks like both these crews are really classy quads, aren't they?
And I wonder what experience they'll have in those two stroke seats. As we say, we've got Claudia Kerry Rogers, not so much time in the boat compared to Alice McCarthy, who was sitting in the stroke seat of that Tideway Scullers boat on the left, because they'll be the ones who are trying to set the pace, maintain that pace that you speak about, Matt. And now they need that pace right through the middle of the race. This is a quiet patch, there's not many crowds around, and again, they're still more or less side by side. Need to handle these slightly poppily conditions. That's launch washes, I think.
Yeah, you can see, as you rightly point out, you can see the sort of ridges running across the river. That will be from launches going up and down. Quite a few pleasure boats here making their way perhaps home after watching the racing at Henley, but there's still a few more to go. And I'd say this race, and this point in the race, we are literally right now on the halfway mark, and just passing that marker there, and they're neck and neck. And this is the point where focus and attention really matters, because you can unfocus for a couple of strokes and find your opponents have leapt out maybe 1 or 2 seats from you, and everything can change in a fraction of a second.
It can change in a fraction, particularly if they might hit one of those little launch washes and you see the scull just bobble around in someone's hand. The scullers need to keep a loose grip, and they need to stay relaxed in their arms so that lactic acid isn't building up in their forearms. Just a nice loose grip on the blades as we're seeing them. What a great race. Again, very little to choose between these crews, pretty much side by side.
Well, they're side by side and they're stroke for stroke. It looks to me like the stroke rates are pretty much matched. You can see catch, finish in both crews. Maybe Scullers are pushing on a little bit now. You can see the stroke rate rising a little bit. I think Scullers are starting to attack, and this is what it's going to be like. It's, well, the cliche is cat and mouse, isn't it? But it's push and hold and push and respond, and it's going to be quite tough as they come through the middle section of the course. Scullers really trying to make a decisive move.
As you say, Scullers trying to make a decisive move. And what's interesting is you often have that idea, right, now let's pick this up, let's really try and move in 10 strokes, let's try and break them. What happens when you do that is you either do break them or you've used your effort, and then you think, well, what are we going to do now? Will they be able to respond? So I think the thing to do is keep the skillful, efficient sculling, not try and do it in 10 strokes, just try and keep your boat just that tiny bit quicker than the other.
That's right, you can't sort of suddenly try and find 5 or 10% extra power. It's the 1 or 2% that comes from perhaps a bit of an extra push, but also making sure you have the synchronicity, the feel and the flow still in the boat. And this is where the problems happen if you push hard, but you start to kind of row less effectively. And at the moment, I think it's really hard to call. Scullers have really pushed hard, and they've eased out to, well, nearly a length now, and it's all to play for Marlow Rowing Club. They have to respond.
Sounds like a big call to me, Matt. Whether that's as much of a length, we'll take a look when we get a side view here. I still think there's more that Marlow can do to come back. Is it as much as a length? It could well be, you are right. Or is it about 2/3 of a length? As you said, Scullers tried to make that decisive move on the right of our picture. Will it be enough?
Well, hard to call from that angle, and let's see what these young women can do. Real determination. You can see calls, a look over the shoulder there from Amy Furlonger, sitting in the 3-seat, 18 years of age, a critical seat when it comes to pushing and attacking through here. And, well, she's yelling in the bow seat, Annabelle Rayner. She must feel they've got a sniff. It's now or never. And look at that. The rate comes up. The athlete, Claudia Carrier-Rogers, sitting in the stroke seat, netball, athletic and rowing champion. Has she got it what it takes to respond? Tideway Scullers, meanwhile, has it been expensive for them?
Well, I think you called it really well there, Matt. They did make a move. You saw the rate go up. There was a call made from the bow seat in the Marlow boat to try and raise the stroke rate, try and kick in with that extra power that they believe they have. And I think Marlow look like they're still coming back. They're still certainly not out of this.
Well, super close racing. You can see people moving towards the bank to see what's going on. It looks like Tideway Scullers now have found that extra gear. Really coherent from them. Look at that blade work, super tight, just as it was right at the beginning of the race. And I think Marlow struggling a bit, a couple of glances over the shoulders, realising that this is slipping away from Marlow, and Scullers push on.
Scullers do push on. This is going to be a great result for them, pushing out the Marlow crew, who are first at the national schools in quads this year. But it's looking like it's Tideway Scullers who are going to take this one as we're coming down towards the line.
Well, congratulations to Scullers. That's an excellent race, and to take it to the national schools 2022 champions Marlow. You can see they're absolutely delighted, though exhausted. They find the opportunity to cheer. You can see real happiness on their faces there. So Tideway Scullers School beating Marlow Rowing Club in the Diamond Jubilee Challenge Cup.